2 years after multinational steel company ArcelorMittal shut down its operation in Point Lisas, a new company, Macquarie Steel Holdings Limited, wants to buy those assets and revitalize Trinidad and Tobago's steel industry. Here to discuss this, as well as the steel industry in Trinidad and Tobago, we have Ramchan Raj Balmaraj, president of the Couva Point Lisas Chamber. We also have Timothy Bailey, treasurer of the Steelworkers Unions and also chief labor relations officer. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
My first question to you, Mr. Maraj, how are the former ArcelorMittal workers coping at this time?
I think since 2 years ago, the workers have been coming to our chamber seeking for employment, seeking informing us that their social life have not been in how it used to be. There's a total breakdown in family life for them, and they are really unemployed and searching for help. They see this as an opportunity that to come back to put their life together again, you know. And what it will also do, given the opportunity by Macquarie, is that it will stimulate economic growth. And for while at this point in time, there is nothing happening with respect to that company.
So you welcome this move?
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on this?
Well, we have been petitioning everyone possible in terms of the challenges that we have faced. A total breakdown in the fabric of society where families have been damaged. We continue to struggle because that's all we can do as the entity that represents these workers. And at this point in time, we're within a rock and a hard place based on what the liquidation process is and where it is at this point in time.
All right. Now, let's talk a little bit about plans to revitalize the steel industry in Trinidad and Tobago. Do you see this happening?
Definitely. We have the tacit knowledge, we have the technical ability, and all that was needed was a financial backing to restart this steel industry. As you would know, the steel industry played an integral part in our economy, where our utility companies, NGC, TNTech, WASA, on average in good times would have made in excess of $50 million in revenue per month. And with the closure of this facility, that has dried up. We have an opportunity through Macquarie Steel, which is a special purpose vehicle solely put together for the purchase of this facility, but backed by a United States entity in UXB Defense, a company basically which is a multi-billion-dollar company, here basically supporting us and putting in a bid. The challenge is that currently there is a liquidation process that's going on, a voluntary one, which was undertaken by the creditors, which MITTAL itself is 90% of the creditors. And Macquarie has placed a bid towards the liquidator, which is in excess of what the liquidator is now entertaining or allegedly entertaining by another steel company, which is New Iron Unlimited. Our challenge with that is that it is alleged that New Iron Unlimited is going to scrap 80% of this facility and only run the DR3 facility, which would mean that from a national perspective, the ability to generate revenue through the utility companies would not be possible. In addition to that, the workers, we had approximately about 2,000 workers working on that facility every day. 644 permanent with ArcelorMittal and the rest being contracted workers. These workers no longer, that's their livelihood, would have the opportunity to be re-engaged. And we have a real issue in terms of the fact that this scenario, when you look at it holistically, is like a scenario where you have a husband and a wife. They're not married, the husband, and the wife supports the husband. He builds a beautiful house, he has a property, then he goes into financial difficulties and decides to sell out. That is what MITTAL did. They sell out, and this wife, during that circumstance, the husband leaves the wife also. This wife is left with nothing. What we face now also is not only being left with nothing, the ability to repurchase the facility, which is what Macquarie has offered. We are not even being entertained in that scenario, and that is the challenge we have. So this wife who would have spent 20-some years preparing this home, supporting this husband to put together a proper home, who basically she's a housewife, went into some financial difficulty, now doesn't even have the opportunity, because she goes and she gets financing, to purchase this facility or to purchase this home in that case. And we are saying this is unfair. We're saying it's totally unfair. We're saying that we are creditors in this scenario. We're saying that the local contractors are creditors, and Mittal being 90% of the creditors on this listing, for the measly $20 million has been offered to this liquidator for this facility, a facility that was sold to the Mittal Group in the 90s for $70 million before the construction of the DR3 facility, which is the largest one of its kind in the Western Hemisphere. For this facility to be sold for $20 million now, it's a crime. We have already faced the greatest crime against workers in this country's history, with nothing coming out of it, and now we are also going to face a scenario where this facility stands to be sold for $20 million and we receive nothing from the liquidation process. And sadly, when you look and you know about steel business, this facility that is going to be sold for $20 million, the reality is that this facility could be sold for scrap. The parts that is going to be scrapped for $50 million in a matter of months. So it's all profit. There is no care in the world for the livelihood, for the national interest, because this is a situation of national interest. When you look in terms of the ability that we could be recreated through this restarting of this facility, where revenue could be generated for a struggling economy like ours through the utility companies, and you look in terms of how they want to run this facility small scale, the R3 and the port, there is no avenue for any revenue for our economy to be regenerated. And we're saying this shouldn't even be entertained. We're saying that it's unacceptable. And we have a lot of nightmares and challenges going forward in terms of even thinking about this possibly becoming a reality.
What assurance do you have that with Macquarie Steel Holdings Limited, that workers' best interests will be sought?
We have already sat down with Macquarie Steel. Macquarie Steel have also sat down with the chamber. We have a memorandum of understanding between parties going forward in terms of how we're going to go about this. Macquarie is here. They have given an undertaking to rehire all the workers who wants to come back. They have given an undertaking, and they have written to all the authorities in Trinidad and Tobago, whether it's utility companies or whether it's the government, stating what are their intentions. They are not looking for concessions, number one, which is something very huge. Number two, their intention is not to only restart this facility and run it the way it used to be run before, but their intention is to add 3 more facilities: a ferroalloy plant, a pelletization plant, and also another facility. It's not coming to my head, sorry. But their intention is to add 3 other facilities, which would create employment in the amount of about 5,000 workers over the 5-year period. It's a $1 billion investment.
Mr. Maraj, how convinced are you that this company is the way to go?
After discussion with them a couple of times, we were assured that yes, within the 5-year period that Bailey spoke about, $1.2 billion will be invested into that plan and creating a job opportunity for 5,000 plus. How can we go wrong with an agreement like that? And when you look at the social displacement, when Caroni 1975 closed, some of these workers went into the ArcelorMittal steel plant, and within about a year, they were retrenched again. The jobs were lost. Now, with Macquarie coming on stream, we guarantee that there will be foreign exchange involvement in this plant operations. There will be small, medium-sized family business will benefit from the operations as well. So all we are asking, and then with no concessions, how can we deny an investor not to come in and invest, rather than you have a plan that will be scrapped, and no one will benefit from it.
Now, Mr. Bailey, you said that you all had meetings with members of Macquarie Steel Holdings Limited where they were able to explain to you what their plans are moving forward. You You also mentioned that another company placed a bid and their intention would be to scrap 80% of the company.
Yeah.
How credible is that information? Were you able to sit down with them to hear it from their mouths?
That information, believe me, is very credible. It's very, very credible. If the media attempts to engage this company, you will get no response because it cannot be denied. Very credible information. They are about their business, and I don't have any issue in terms of our capitalist agenda. But when we're looking in terms of the national community as a whole, we must be patriotic and loyal. This is not just a business transaction. This is a scenario where Trinidadians were deprived. Nothing has been done. 2.5 years later, an opportunity has arisen. I've used the analogy of the wife helping purchase a house with her husband, and what has happened. And we are saying simply, in the interest of the national community, something must be done. Whether it's the opposition, the great minds of the opposition, and the government coming together and collectively finding a way to make this happen. We are saying the money is there. This entity has not only been here on one occasion. This is the second visit to this country, and they have said very clearly that in 24 hours, if anybody wants to have serious discussions with them, they will be back here with their checkbook. This is how serious this is.
So do you think eventually that they would actually be the ones to successfully take over?
Well, I am hopeful, because the reality is these individuals are businessmen. They cannot have money and are sitting idly by and not being entertained. What we would have to do as a membership and as patriots of this country, we would have to ensure that the national interest of the country is put first. By whatever means necessary, we would have to make sure that that happens. If it means that we take to the pavement, if it means that we petition whoever is necessary, whether it's the president, the prime minister, whoever, we as a national community, especially with a limping economy, must realize that this is an opportunity that we can't turn our backs on and must embrace this as a country.
So what can we do now? What is the way moving forward in terms of ensuring that this does not happen again?
The way moving forward is to ensure that this liquidation process is reopened. What we have is one entity in this process by default. Macquarie learned of this facility after the deadline and placed a bid. And since then, the liquidator has only been extending the deadline to ensure that the other entity, which wants to scrap 80% of the plant, is able to put their house in order. We are saying that the lockout period must end and the liquidation process must be reopened. The starting bid of this company is 40% more than you are entertaining at this point in time. It means that the creditors, especially local creditors, because as I said before, Mittal is 90% of the creditors. I don't care about Mittal. I care about the contractors who give their heart and soul and their workers and are owed in this liquidation process. I care about our membership that has left that facility, some after 36 years without a cent.
So you're saying that the deadline is being purposely pushed to accommodate and not the other company?
The deadline has been extended on 5 occasions, if I'm not correct.
And you think the reason is to possibly entertain?
If you are looking at the best interests of the creditors, and we have written a legal letter, us, the workers, and other local creditors have written a legal letter to the liquidator saying that he needs to reopen the liquidation process and allow bids to come in. And we are sure Macquarie wants this facility. Macquarie, if given the opportunity to have a discussion, they have said clearly to us in 60 days we would close off this deal. We could give them money in the morning, and the legal aspect we close it in 60 days. They have said that very clearly. So what is stopping us from restarting this facility and giving this country a much needed cash injection, whether it's bid foreign exchange, because Mittal at its prime, at its peak of production, would have contributed $25 million US per month to this economy. US, so we have a foreign exchange scenario, and then I told you about the utilities. When combined, it was in excess of $50 million US per month. Why are we not entertaining this? Why are we not jumping on this? What is the issue? As the question must be asked.
What are your closing comments at this time, Mr.
I
Niraj?
just want to say that the powers that be, if they can step in and influence the process to have the bid open, give them the opportunity so that we could have Macquarie come in, or anyone that want to compete with the bid of Macquarie to come in and see what is happening. The chamber wants to see growth, economic growth in the country. We want foreign exchange that is really lacking in our country, and there is a possibility that some of that could happen right here with Macquarie Steel Holdings Company.
All right, and your closing comments, Mr.
My closing comments is Trinidad and Tobago, my fellow citizens, we have a responsibility to be our brother's keeper. In this scenario, being our brother's keeper would ensure that long into the future, our economy is more stable, and we're not in a scenario where anytime there is an issue in the oil and gas sector that we continue to struggle. Macquarie Steel, in our view, at this point in time, is the vehicle to bring that comfort to our economy. And we are saying to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, when the Steelworkers Union of Trinidad and Tobago and its members make its call along with all the other trade union organizations, whether it's JTOM, FITOM, or NATOC, who have basically pledged solidarity alongside the Point Research Chamber, that we would love for your support. This is a national issue.
Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having us.
We've been chatting with Timothy Bailey and Ramchan Rajbal Maraj, expressing their confidence in Macquarie Steel Holdings Limited as a way forward in terms of revitalizing Trinidad and Tobago's steel industry. We take a short break. Much more when we return. Stay tuned.